Ever feel like there are these invisible forces kind of like shaping your life, like hidden currents that are kind of pushing and pulling you in different directions?
Yeah.
Well, get this. The Bhagavad-gītā, it talks about this. And today, we're taking a deep dive into its 14th chapter to unpack this wild concept of the three modes of material nature.
And, you might be surprised to learn just how relevant this ancient wisdom is to our daily lives, even in, like, the 21st century.
Right. Okay, so the Bhagavad-gītā lays out these three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance,
Yeah.
and says they influence, like, everything in the material world. It's like they're the secret code behind our personalities, desires, even like the choices we make.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's really fascinating to me is that this isn't just like some abstract philosophy.
Mhm.
This text is saying these modes have very real consequences.
That's exactly right. These modes are not just some, airy-fairy concepts. They have tangible effects on our experiences in this life. And get this, they even influence what happens after death, at least according to the Bhagavad-gītā.
Oh, okay. Now, that's what I call like a high-stakes game.
Yeah.
So let's unpack these modes, starting with goodness. The text describes it as the most pure, kind of like a cleansing energy that illuminates the mind and helps us break free from like negative karma.
It's true. The Bhagavad-gītā links goodness with qualities like, knowledge, genuine happiness, and a deep sense of inner peace. That feeling of being content and at ease.
Oh, yeah. Sign me up for that.
Right.
But then, and this is where it gets really interesting, the text says that even goodness, as awesome as it sounds, can be binding. It's like a double-edged sword. Can you break that down for us?
Yeah. Absolutely. Think about it this way. Imagine someone who's totally dedicated to, like, living a healthy life. They eat right, exercise religiously, and are in great shape.
Oh, okay.
That's goodness in action, right?
Right, yeah.
But what if that focus on health becomes, so all-consuming that it leads to anxiety about every little food choice or a fear of missing a workout? They're trapped in a cycle of striving, always chasing after the, quote, perfect version of health.
Wow, that's such a good point. And so relatable. It's a good reminder that even the pursuit of like seemingly positive things can become a kind of trap if we're not,
If we're not careful, yeah.
careful. So if goodness is about this equilibrium of knowledge and peace, how does the Bhagavad-gītā describe that like dynamic force of passion in our lives?
Well, the text says that passion is fueled by desire, by that constant yearning for more. It's the energy that drives us to chase after what we want, whether it's success in our careers, fulfilling relationships, or those shiny new possessions we just can't resist.
Okay, so picture this. You're scrolling through social media
Yeah.
and you see like everyone living their best lives, vacations, fancy dinners, new cars. Doesn't it make you feel like you need to keep up?
Yeah.
The Bhagavad-gītā would say that's the mode of passion whispering in your ear, urging you to achieve more, acquire more, experience more.
It's true.
It's a powerful force that seems to drive like a lot of the world around us.
Absolutely. And this doesn't just apply to those big, flashy examples. Think about the effort that goes into, like, constructing a skyscraper, the architect's ambitious vision, the countless hours of labor, the financial investments, and even the, risks involved. All of that striving and doing, that's the mode of passion and action. It highlights how deeply intertwined our lives are with this mode of action, whether we're aware of it or not.
So far, we've explored goodness, which the Bhagavad-gītā paints as this like state of knowledge and peace and passion, that driving force of desire and action. But there's a third mode in the mix, right?
Yeah.
And that's where things take a bit of a turn.
That's right. Now we're entering the realm of ignorance, and the Bhagavad-gītā doesn't hold back in describing its effects. Imagine a kind of darkness that descends upon the mind, clouding judgment and leading to confusion, irrational behavior, even what the text calls madness.
Okay, that sounds like kind of intense. I mean, we've all had those days where we feel a bit, foggy-headed, right?
Yeah.
But the text seems to be talking about something like deeper, something that can really hold us back.
It is. It's like being stuck in a rut, unable to see clearly or, make choices that are in our best interests. The Bhagavad-gītā even associates it with laziness and excessive sleep, like that feeling of being weighed down and unable to fully engage with life.
It reminds me of those times when I like hit the snooze button over and over again, even though I know I have a ton to do. It's like a part of me just wants to stay curled up in bed, avoiding the day ahead. Would the Bhagavad-gītā say that's the mode of ignorance at play?
It could be. And this isn't just about, feeling lazy or unmotivated. The text goes on to explain that if someone dies while, heavily under the influence of this mode of ignorance, they might be reborn into what it considers lower realms of existence even, like the animal kingdom.
Wow. That's a pretty heavy concept to, like, digest. So it sounds like understanding these modes, especially recognizing when ignorance might be clouding our judgment, is pretty crucial if we want to, like, break free from this cycle of suffering the Bhagavad-gītā talks about.
You hit the nail on the head. The beauty of the Bhagavad-gītā is that it doesn't just leave us in a state of despair, right?
Right.
Its message is ultimately one of hope and empowerment, reminding us that we are not eternally bound by these modes. We have the potential to transcend them, to rise above their influence and experience true liberation.
Okay. That's a huge relief. But, like, how do we actually DO that? What does the Bhagavad-gītā say about breaking free from these powerful influences that seem to be, like, woven into the very fabric of our existence?
It all starts with, shifting our perspective, recognizing that we are not defined by these modes.
Okay.
It's about understanding that these are simply forces acting upon us like winds that might try to, like, sway us in different directions.
So it's about not identifying so strongly with our thoughts and emotions, right? Like, instead of getting totally swept away by a wave of anger or, like, completely lost in a sea of self-doubt, we can learn to observe these states without judgment, understanding they're influenced by these modes, but don't represent the, like, totality of who we are.
Exactly. It's about cultivating a sense of, detachment, an inner observer that can witness these fluctuations without getting totally carried away by them. This internal practice of self-awareness and discernment is key. But the Bhagavad-gītā also highlights a powerful external practice for transcendence, bhakti yoga, or the yoga of devotion.
Okay. I've heard of bhakti yoga, but how does that tie into all of this? It seems like we're talking about shifting our, like, internal state, and bhakti yoga seems to be more about, like, outward actions.
Yeah, it's about shifting our focus from, ourselves to something greater.
Okay.
When we devote ourselves to something beyond our own ego-driven desires, our attachment to the fruits of our actions weakens and the grip of the modes loosens. It's like we're tapping into a power greater than ourselves.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like that saying, like, it's not all about me. When we're caught up in the mode of passion, for example, we're constantly thinking about, like, what we can get, how we can achieve more for ourselves. But with bhakti yoga, the focus shifts to, like, selfless service, to dedicating our actions to a higher purpose.
Exactly, and that's where real freedom lies.
So it sounds like bhakti yoga is about kind of shifting from that, like, what's in it for me, to how can I serve? It's like we're, like, rewiring our internal circuitry from being self-centered to be more selfless. But how can we tell if we're actually making progress on this, like, path of transcendence? Are there any signs we could look for in ourselves that might suggest we're starting to break free from the grip of these modes?
That's a great question. The Bhagavad-gītā actually describes some of the, telltale signs of someone who's well on their way to transcending these modes. One of the key indicators is a deep sense of inner peace, even when life throws curveballs.
Okay, so not that they're immune to, like, challenges or difficult emotions, but they're not ruled by them. It's like they've developed this inner resilience, this ability to weather the storms without getting totally swept away.
Exactly. They're not clinging desperately to pleasure or, shrinking back in fear from pain with the same intensity as someone who's still bound by those, fluctuating modes. They've found a place of kind of relative equanimity.
That makes me think of, like, someone who can receive both praise and criticism with the same grace, not letting either one, like, inflate or deflate their sense of self.
That's a perfect example. They're not easily swayed by, external validation or disapproval. And another hallmark is that they treat everyone with the same kindness and respect, regardless of whether it's, their closest friend or someone they might perceive as different from themselves.
Wow, that's a high bar. It sounds like they've moved beyond those, like, automatic judgments and reactions that can so easily, like, divide us.
It is a continuous journey, not a destination.
Yeah.
And it's important to remember that transcending the modes isn't about becoming some kind of, emotionless robot.
Right.
It's not about suppressing our feelings or becoming, like, indifferent to life.
So it's not about eliminating our emotions, but, like, transforming our relationship to them.
Yeah.
It's about experiencing the full spectrum of human experience, joy, sadness, anger, love, without letting those emotions, completely dictate our actions.
Precisely. It's about acting from a place of wisdom and compassion, not just reacting blindly based on, our conditioned patterns.
Yeah.
It's about living from that place of true freedom and inner peace that the Bhagavad-gītā says is our inherent nature.
This deep dive into the three modes of material nature has been, incredibly eye-opening. It makes you wonder if these modes are really influencing, everything in the material world, as the text suggests. Could they even help explain some of the larger patterns we see playing out in society, like conflicts and inequalities?
It's a fascinating question to ponder. Perhaps by understanding these forces at play both within ourselves and in the world around us, we can begin to make more, conscious choices, choices that lead to greater harmony, understanding, and well-being for everyone.
Definitely food for thought. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the heart of the Bhagavad Gita. Until next time, keep diving deep and exploring the hidden forces that shape our lives.